It was a bright day in Albany town, with sunshine that danced all the way down. The Hudson gleamed gold, spring warmth chased the cold, and tulips made smiles all around. Life didn't waste any time for Malik. After graduation, he headed straight for the airport. He turned on the Yankees vs. Marlins game. Yankees was kicking ass. Time flew, and before he knew it, it was time to board JetBlue. Malik gathered his things and headed toward the gate. Malik joined the line and glanced around the terminal. It took him a moment to register what he just saw. Oh shit, she's standing right in the middle of the terminal. Malik had to do a double take. She's gone. It was just a figment. He chuckled in relief. This is a crowded airport terminal. Malik handed the flight attendant his passport. Malik stowed away his things and got comfortable. He looked out the window as the plane took flight. They reached cruising altitude and in-flight service began. She spoke nicely to him, but something about her was off-putting. The jet raced through the sky. Malik was 90 minutes into the flight when he had to use the bathroom. After he used the bathroom, Malik went back to his seat. He smiled because he got her number. Malik couldn't go to sleep, so he began watching a movie. It was this creepy flight attendant again, asking if he had any trash. The flight began its descent into the metro area. It safely landed and taxied to the gate. Malik breezed through the terminal, headed straight to the car rental center. Your rental's ready. The ride felt so smooth and it was so fast. He loved it. Way better than the Rogue. It purred softly like a kitty cat fiending for food. South Florida traffic was heavy to moderate, typical midday fun. Malik whipped the Charger proficiently around these grandmas. They drive so slow here, like damn pay attention to what y'all doing. He made it off the interstate and rolled down Sheridan. A few miles down, Malik turned into the subdivision and continued further down the road. He finally made it home. Well, home for the time being anyway. A comfortable rented bungalow in the Hollywood Boulevard Heights area. Storm clouds brewed. Cell phones warned of the impending rainstorm, forecasted to knock out power. Malik was already knocked out. He'd been up from early. His fatigued mind transported him back to his meeting with Detective Terry Lee. Malik was frustrated because the police had no clues to his attacker's whereabouts. The detective assured they were doing their best to find her. Protective custody is recommended. Unless PC was willing to relocate, Malik would have to decline, but forcefully advocated them to continue their investigation. Malik left the precinct and walked home. He didn't live too far and the weather was nice. He was still being very cautious because she was still out there. Oh shit, she popped out from behind a bush. Malik popped up from the horrifying nightmare. He got up and padded across the room. He was still a bit groggy. Oh shit, she's outside! Malik raced across the room away from the window. He snatched up his piece and went back over to the window. She was gone, or was she really there to begin with? Malik felt a surge of confusion and fear. sunrise, the storm clouds rolled back. Most people awoke to a new day, but Malik spent his night sleepless. He kept his peace close by, ready for anything. Malik wasn't sure if he was seeing things, but better safe than sorry. Malik was on his way to work when one of his neighbors introduced herself as Shay Watkins. She was 32, from San Antonio, and an app inventor. She noticed Malik and just wanted to come over and say hello. Malik appreciated it and invited her over whenever they were both free. The morning commute was formidable. These people drive so slow. Malik made it to the news station for his first day of work. There he met up with the rest of the crew. The tall guy with the locks, he's Brian. The young woman, her name is Mary. And the dude in the black ensemble, that's Lamar. But for real, this was going to be where Malik was spending his days. This office hell as an entry-level junior meteorologist. He was probably never going to see any air time, but compiling reports was sufficient enough for him. Typical midday traffic, I-95 bustled. The subdivision was quiet until... Later that afternoon, as the sun lowered behind the palms, Malik handed in his last assignment for the day. A news report caught his attention. There was a murder at the Honeywoods. A young woman found brutally stabbed to death. Malik was a bit nervous at the proximity. They didn't identify who the victim is, but he had a bad feeling. Malik made his way across the parking lot. He thought maybe he was seeing things again, but realized what he was seeing was real. Malik spun around and bolted. Malik ran as fast as he could away from the gun. By 2 strokes of luck, the rounds missed. He ran even faster and hid. Malik kept as quiet as he could and stayed low. He was able to call out for help. She walked with the gun down at her side, her trigger finger itchy. Malik was close to his vehicle. He just had to make it around this car over here. She continued forward, clutching the firearm. Malik made it to his vehicle, but so did she, and she let off a round through the windshield. He mowed her down and sped away. He didn't make it far. The police showed up. Malik should have been relieved, but the fact his stalker was an ex-cop didn't sit well. Malik jumped out of the vehicle and explained to the officers what happened. Malik took them back to the spot where he left her, but she was gone. The day was long and excruciating, but the sun finally fell, giving way to night. Storm clouds gathered until the sky opened. Brian's first day went great. Now he watched this Atlanta Hawks versus New York Knicks ball game. There she goes, lurking in the shadows. They were somewhere in the second half of the game when Brian heard his car alarm go off. He was wondering what the hell. He parked his car under the carport. Everything appeared to be okay, so he went to shut it off. After he came back inside, Brian reaffirmed himself in front of the television. Bum-ass Knicks. Brian sat there and wondered if they're really a legit contender. Meanwhile, across town, at the Guitar Hotel. After a hell of an ordeal, Malik was placed in protective custody. It wasn't the most ideal place to keep someone in protective custody, but seeing how elusive his attacker is, they figured the more unorthodox, the better. All around South Florida, the weather raged, intense lightning, rain, and wind. An elegant mansion loomed in the Southwest Ranches area. Look, it's Mary, and the green-eyed silver fox is Stormfront, a senior meteorologist at the news station. She was afraid her first day didn't go great. Storm assured her he held major weight at the news station. Storm got up from the bed when he heard someone pull up in the driveway. Mary told him she wasn't expecting anybody. Sometimes she would order Postmates or Uber Eats, but she didn't tonight. Storm went downstairs to investigate. He called out to the vehicle several times but received no response. He didn't know what hit him. It continued storming outside. Mary's been doom-scrolling for the past hour or so, and that's when she realized Storm didn't come back. So that's when she decided to go searching for him. It didn't take long for her to find him strung up by his neck with a gaping chest wound. The violent storm raged on, ravishing the South Florida region. Detectives from the homicide squad arrived to discuss details. Malik shared everything he felt was pertinent. Detective Getright was immediately suspicious of him from the start. She did her due diligence and uncovered details from his past. Malik just sat there. He couldn't speak, or maybe he didn't want to speak. After what they felt was stonewalling, moments later the detectives conferred in the hallway. The night progressed, sometime after midnight. Traffic still flowed moderately on 441. Somewhere along Sterling Road, trouble brewed. Detective Carter drew the short straw, so it was his turn to respond to the scene. Until the CSI guys show up, Detective Carter instructed the officers to secure the scene. Meanwhile, the eagle-eyed detective searched the vicinity for clues. Moments later, into his canvas, Detective Carter found a witness, or at least an ear witness. He took down her witness report. They both watched him walk off, impressed, but she was really having wild thoughts. They had a really long day and was tired as hell. Good thing they didn't live far. It was a short walk down the road. They were almost home when... She immediately took off running. She couldn't believe what just happened. She ran as fast as she could. The townhouse was only a few steps away. She didn't stop and turn around, but she felt the psycho looming right behind her. Meanwhile, across town, area residents began settling in for an uneventful night. Detective Carter had a lot on his mind. He just wanted to get home. A comfortable two-story on Johnson Street. When Detective Carter arrived home, he found his daughter on the couch doom-scrolling. "I hope you not on IG talking to that Nigerian scammer Daniel." "Dang, Daddy, you had to air me out like that." "You know I really liked him. Stay off the internet," he reprimanded before walking away. He went to his office and began poring over some of his cases. A beautiful tequila sunrise illuminated the magnificent hotel. Malik embraced his morning coffee. Despite his precarious situation, he still planned on going to work. It was his second day at his new job, and he wasn't going to miss it for anything. Don't get me wrong, he was shitting bricks because his stalker is batshit crazy, but this was his career. It took them several more minutes, but they finally arrived at the news station. Despite police protection, Malik anticipated a normal day, but when he saw Detective Getright and more officers, he knew something was up. Apparently, some of the interns he worked with yesterday were murdered last night. The details were sparse, but she was serious. It was a beautiful day outside. The sun beamed and the birds chirped, but inside the building, the atmosphere was heavy with grief and confusion. Malik was at his workstation preparing some barometric reports. when Detective Getright showed up and badgered him with a series of probing questions. With a serious expression, Malik answered to the best of his ability. She didn't believe him, and her suspicions grew exponentially. Later that day, Malik was beckoned to the general manager's office. He was a bit apprehensive and wondered why the manager wanted to see him. The manager was aware of the murders and asked Malik to head up the interns. Malik was stunned at the request and felt revered the manager would even consider him. Meanwhile, Detective Getright walked throughout the station, trying to get a vibe on the place. She asked questions about the murdered interns, but she also asked about Malik and his demeanor. Nobody really knew anything, but she kept canvassing. About an hour later, Malik found himself digesting his food under a disapproving glare. She felt he knew more than what he proclaimed. On cue, she received a text message that piqued her interest. She immediately went to the bathroom because she knew he was hiding something. Later on, after lunch, Malik and the interns had to convene to exchange notes for the senior meteorologist. Meet Erica, a junior meteorologist hailing out of Aventura. She went to the office to retrieve her reports. But when she got there, she couldn't find them. Erica turned around to leave when... Down the hallway, Malik began the session. He waited for Erica, but she was taking too long. He just figured she would join them when she was ready. Zach, a new intern, sounded off with some good ideas. Meanwhile, across town, Detective Carter desperately tried to get in contact with his partners, but no one was answering. Detective Carter went to his desk and began poring over information from the case. Meanwhile, back at the station. After using the restroom, Malik headed down the hallway. He packed up his belongings and left along with his escorts. The ride down Hollywood Boulevard was quiet and uneventful. The traffic wasn't too bad, but these people here can't drive for shit. Meanwhile, Detective Carter was on the phone talking with another detective from New York. Apparently, Malik was involved in some sort of incident dating back several years. Detective Carter perused the information on the screen. The detective unveiled more info over the phone. After going through the data and talking to Detective Terry Lee, Detective Carter went to go find his partners. He's been trying to get in touch with his partners all day, but no one seems to be answering. The front door was unlocked, so Detective Carter stepped into the dark apartment with trepidation. There was a light shining behind the door, so Detective Carter walked toward it. Oh shit! There his colleague was, bleeding profusely from a slashed throat. He immediately got the hell out of there. In a matter of minutes, the front was filled with police and squad cars. Detective Carter got on the phone and called his other colleague, but he also didn't answer. That's because he's also dead, stabbed through the heart and dangling by his neck. Detective Carter left a flustered voicemail, hung up and walked off. Detective Carter jumped into his vehicle and sped across town. Detective Carter arrived at the news station, looking for everyone, but everyone was missing. Malik was still en route to the hotel. Traffic was a bit heavier than usual. Malik gazed out the window as the vehicle shot forward down the street. They slowed down when they came to a detour sign. Have to go down this back street real quick. I didn't know this was here. You mind? Before Malik could respond, they were already cruising down the desolate alleyway. Before they knew it, a gun-toting stranger emerged out of the shadows. Malik was scared because something violent was about to happen. She walked up to the vehicle, took aim, and... Dead! The both of them! Shards of glass was everywhere. The gun-toting mammy sauntered forward. She was bent on Malik's destruction. He jumped up and ran away. Meanwhile, Detective Carter sat in his car at the news station parking lot. Malik bolted across the parking lot with the killer in tow. She had him in her crosshairs. Detective Carter glanced around when he heard what sounded like gunshots. A round grazed him, so Malik ran into a nearby store seeking refuge. She ran in after him and found an empty store. The gun-toting psycho marched through the store. When Malik ran in the store, two shoppers were still here. Quickly, he told them to hide. She continued through the empty store, desperately searching for him. Malik inched his way closer to the door, but the gun-toting psycho went deeper into the store. She was going to find him and make him pay for what he's done. Acting like he's the victim, but actually the reason these women were going to die. She raised the firearm and took aim. This is all his fault. Moments later, the front crawled with officers. Eyewitness accounts were being collected. Malik sat with Detective Carter and told him what happened. Malik expressed some regret, but the detective explained it wasn't his fault. Malik still felt terrible. Meanwhile, first responders tended to her wounds and raced her to the hospital. She bled profusely from the gaping wound on her neck. Minutes later, they were at the hospital. She was rushed into surgery. Her jugular was nicked, but surgeons were able to pinch it. She rested comfortably after the surgery. Meanwhile, across town, Malik was back at home since the killer's been apprehended. Malik just sat there, staring off into space. He tried to go to sleep without the gun, but Malik felt like he was still being watched. So he went out into the living room and watched television, something about some shootout at some uppity dinner party. Damn, even the white people can't party without some fool letting off shots. Anyway, he didn't care about the rest of this stuff. Malik only cared about the killer's capture. He still felt a lot of anxiety. Another sleepless night turned into a beautiful-ass day. The sun rose over the beautiful, vast ocean. Malik stood over the window with his morning coffee. There she was, ominously looming in the backyard. Malik had to do a double take because she was supposed to be locked up. His mind was playing tricks on him. Despite, Malik got on the phone and called Detective Carter. He was feeling very anxious. Later that morning, the streets and canals crammed with traffic. Despite his anxiety, Malik conducted his duties with the interns. But because he was constantly hallucinating, he appeared a bit distant. He looked like a deer in headlights. A bunch of gibberish tumbled from his mouth. This woman clearly thought he was tripping. After the morning meeting, Malik called Detective Carter again. About an hour later, Malik met with the general manager. He was impressed with Malik, but also knew about his cult following. Malik did his best to explain away his recent troubles. Despite, the GM made him an offer he couldn't refuse. He couldn't hear a single word he was saying, though. All he could see was his attacker's threatening visage. Malik contemplated. Later that day, storm clouds rolled in. The sky opened up and released everything it had. Malik looked good in baby blue as well as in that senior meteorologist's position. He forecasts a stormy night ahead. It was ladies' night, but the massive storm kept people indoors. It was a normal night at Broward General. The doctors and nurses actually doing their jobs because, you know, nobody likes doing that. Malik's attacker placed in a medically induced coma. The doctor explained her injuries were severe but expected to make a full recovery. Detective Carter asked when she would wake up, and the doctor said, "Only time will tell. Rest is very crucial." Detective Carter thanked him and went down the hallway. The detective made his way to the break room. There, he saw Malik on the television. Suddenly, the detective saw Malik in a whole new light. It's like now he can't escape seeing this kid. Every time he turned on the TV, there he was. He wondered if Detective Getright was right about him. Meet Dr. Cruz, a highly recommended psychologist in the greater South Florida region. Detective Carter's been seeing her for some time now. She probed and prodded to see why he urgently needed to see her. He felt some type of way about helping this kid. Something about his story was off, and still not ringing right to the detective. Something ain't right with that kid. She did her best to placate him, but he seemed deeply perturbed. Meanwhile, a lone stranger wandered through the torrential downpour. The stranger walked up to the window and peered inside. There was a cutie patootie sitting on the couch. He wondered if she would go out with him. Meet 17-year-old Megan Thompson. She is sad because her boyfriend, Clay, dumped her, and she really thought he was the one. The lone stranger continued on down the street. The rain came down in sheets. Meet 18-year-old Juanita Williams. She's cooking oxtail. He stood there and watched and wondered if she would make him some. The lone stranger walked down the sidewalk. Oh, look, it's Tiffany. She's so pretty and so smart. She looks like she could use a man. He just stood there and watched. It was a cold, hard rain, but that didn't stop him. Wow, it's Faith. She's also really pretty and so cool. I wonder if she'll Netflix and chill with me. He just stood there and enjoyed a good stare. The stranger didn't know who she is, but she's hot. The stranger continued over a few more blocks and came to this apartment complex. Look, it's Darlene. She's a sophomore, but gave a mature vibe. The stranger moved on to the next residence. Oh, look, it's Zenobia. She's mad hood, but cute when she wanna be. And there goes Simone.